Terrell Thomas, and we're live downtown Atlanta to kick off SEC Media Week. And I'm with a gentleman who's been doing this thing for some time, doing a lot of supporting what we got going on. So this edition of Just Kicking It, I'm with the one and only Mr. Marcus Spears. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. We had a long day, but it was a productive day. Had a lot of content to give to the people, get the SEC Summerfest. It's a new thing this year. We usually call it Media Days, but trying to have a different approach, make it new, fresh, and I think it worked out well.
So what do you think of this upcoming season? You know, it'll be a surprise for a lot of folks out there. We hear a whole lot about Alabama and Georgia, but if you had to pick a surprise team that'll turn a lot of heads this year in the SEC, who would that be?
It'll be Mississippi State.
Okay.
And they have a new coach, so it makes you a little apprehensive about picking them, but they have a great roster, a lot of really good players, talented players. They're good where you need to be good at in this conference to win, and that's the defensive line and offensive line. And then on the other side in the East, South Carolina. Will Muschamp has done a phenomenal job there. They got a great roster. They got one of the best players in college football in Deebo Samuel. Have a quarterback that has seen it all in Jake Bentley. The SEC is not as closed door with Alabama and Georgia as many people think. So I think it could be some surprise teams. LSU could be a lot better than people thinking they're going to be. Florida with Dan Mullen coming in. So it's a lot of that unknown, which is good for the conference, man.
That's what I wanted to ask you as well. Two marquee programs have new head coaches coming in, the University of Florida, Texas A&M as well. Now I know a lot of people are looking to see what Jimbo Fisher do in Texas A&M, but with them two programs, who do you think will have the quickest turnaround?
I think it'll be Florida. And the reason being is because Dan Mullen already understands that landscape. He was there under Urban Meyer when they won national championships. He was Tim Tebow's mentor and taught him how to play the position. A lot of people will reflect back on that and get excited about being there with Dan Mullen. And Florida, obviously, the recruiting, the type of players that they have. He's going to try to get ingrained in that state to start pulling guys from Florida State and pulling guys from Miami and try to get those players on campus. But I think A&M, to me, is an interesting story because Jimbo has the winning pedigree, all right? And Jimbo has been around a lot of successful teams. He was my offensive coordinator at LSU. A&M has talent now. They have good players now. Their mentality has hurt them from a physicality standpoint for the past few years. And they had a quarterback situation with two #1 guys coming out of high school that Kevin Sumlin didn't manage well. So I think for that program, it's about the mentality more than trying to get players in there. I think Dan Mullen's case, there are really good players on Florida's roster, but he's not where he wants to be on that roster just yet.
Now, we're in Atlanta, so a few miles up the road, of course, is Athens. A lot of folks are talking about Justin Fields, #1 quarterback that'll be coming into University of Georgia. Do you think we'll see him on the field this year, and what type of impact could he have if possible?
Well, yeah, you'll definitely see him on the field, and you'll see him in some situations where they want to make sure he's ready to play if that time comes. Let's not forget Jake Fromm took this team to a national championship last year. Let's not forget that he was 12-1. I know everybody's excited. The new kid at the school is always excited, especially when he's cute and pretty and he was the #1 guy. But I think people need to give a little pause to that because I think Jake Fromm can eventually be a first-round draft pick at the quarterback spot. I think he's shown the leadership capabilities as a freshman surrounded by a bunch of guys with a lot of experience for them to have the confidence that he could get the job done. But we'll see, Justin, and that's the new wave of college football. It's just like the Tua and Jalen Hurts situation going on at Alabama right now. You have to have these guys ready to play. National championship second half down 14 and you put a freshman quarterback. Well, you only do that because you feel confident about what you've seen him do throughout the course of the season. It'll be the same situation with Kirby and Georgia. They breed competition. That's what it's about. That's why they were in the national championship last year.
Now, we know you did your thing on the NFL level as well as a pro athlete. The SEC kicks out NFL athletes left and right. Switch gears a little bit. Last year, of course, in the Super Bowl, we saw the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. It's very early. Training camp hasn't even begun. But if you had to give your prediction on two teams we may see in the Super Bowl right here in Atlanta next year, who would they be?
I think you would see St. Louis Rams. LA Rams. Be careful about them. What they did this offseason, acquiring Aqib Talib, they signed Ndamukong Suh. They were already pretty good. Jared Goff has finally hit his stride at the quarterback spot, so I think that's a team that's dangerous. Philly is still going to be good as well. Atlanta. figure this Julio thing out because you got a good enough team to try to make a run at this thing. So I would say that's two teams. And it's not because I'm here in Atlanta, but they need to get Julio done.
I agree.
Like ASAP. Because, look, when you look across the NFL and you think about what teams have success, you got a prolific quarterback, you got a prolific running back, and a prolific receiver. Atlanta needs to get Julio back in camp. And Calvin really is going to be a lot better than people probably thinking he's going to be.
Before I let you go, man, I know you're a big fan of the NBA as well. Your guy, LeBron, he's in a new uniform now in the purple and gold. How long do you think would it be before we see a championship in LA if we do see one? And what do you think about his move headed to the West Coast?
Well, it depends on the moves that's made with Magic. And I don't know if the plan was to do it this year, but you know, you got Kawhi, you got Paul that's going to be signed with Oklahoma, but all things can change. You got Anthony Davis coming up in New Orleans. So you have to think that Irving Magic Johnson told LeBron, I'm trying to win a championship here. And eventually I think they'll get to that point. But to see him win one in LA would only further promote all of the noise I talk about, the greatest one.
Thanks for your time, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate it, man.